one shot at a time.
Welcome back to another week of Enjoy the Walk podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Just Dante and I this week, and we got a lot to catch up on. We've had guests the last couple episodes, so we really haven't dove into what we've been doing, things we're expecting in our own golf games here coming up. And Dante, I'm pretty pumped to dive into our own personal golf, experiences over the last couple weeks.
Yes, sir. Got some big things down the pipeline. Got some not so great stuff that just happened a couple weeks ago and this weekend, and then some great stuff. It's a damn roller coaster.
Sounds like the game of golf to me, baby. I'm happy to dive in.
Yeah. Who said that the other day? Oh, when we were down at the Barstool Classic at Atlantic City, hole-in-one trick shots. He was talking about how he just played. Previous weekend
they played their practice round and shot like 66 or something like that.
Well, they also had the club championship, and he said he played great, and then he comes out and they're like, we shit the bed. He goes, that's golf.
I will forever say that I don't want to play my home club on a tournament that is up for a bunch of money or like a big entry, because I always feel like there's just a stupid added pressure of being like, well, duh, it's my home course. Like, I'm supposed to play well here. I'm supposed to, like, I feel like walking onto the first tee, you just have a little added pressure of being at home rather than like the opposite. Maybe I'm wrong.
I see it as the opposite. I see it's more of a comfort level knowing, okay, this is me. You know, I know the course. I played this course hundreds of times. I'm just going to go out and play another round. I can see your side of it too. If you put pressure, like I should win this out of everybody, but I see it more on a nerves aspect. It's just I'm going to go up. I know what I'm going to hit off the first tee. I know how the greens are rolling. I know how where to put the greens based on tee pin locations and all that. That's my side of it.
I definitely see exactly where you're coming from, and I know what you're saying. And I just, it's 50-50 for me. There's some times where, and this is just I think not even the lore of golf, but just like the craziness of how golf just it does something to your veins. I walk up sometimes at my home course in a tournament setting, and I'm like, I'm going to shoot 62 today. Like, I just get that feeling. And then you walk up there some days, and I don't know what it is, because I prep the same. I do the same stuff. I have 2 eggs with a piece of toast in the morning, just like I always do. I don't change anything. And then some days you walk up there and you're like, oh boy, this is going to be a roller coaster. Like, before you even put a tee in the ground. There's just, I don't know what it is or how that like demeanor changes from day to day. And this is where it gets into, like, for me, and we can dive into this as we start talking about recapping the PGA Championship, but like, how the pros consistently step up to venue after venue after venue and put on a show like they do. That's what's the most impressive thing about them.
I agree, because I'm always about 10 strokes worse at courses that I've never stepped foot on or played, or even some of the reciprocals that I can play as well. I always struggle than my home course, and I would assume that's usually how it works for everybody, because you're constantly at your home course. But when you go and play different courses, I tend to struggle a lot more. Now, maybe that's where I put more added pressure to myself, thinking like, all right, I know what I can do at my home course. I know I can do it at this other course, but I always seem to struggle. But yeah, you're right. These pros, they go out different course week after week and somehow just grind out mid-60s to low 70s all the time.
It's awesome, man. And speaking of being on tour, you made another appearance on the Common Man Tour, the Glover Park Tour this weekend. Walk us through that. Did you put on a show like a tour pro out at the Glover Park Tour, or how did it go for you? I've heard mixed feelings about the way you played or the way you might have finished.
It started out bad. Then I started picking. I tripled the first hole. I don't know what happened, but nerves just got to me. And then I just proceeded to go par, bogey, par, bogey, par, bogey for like the front 9. And then the back 9, I started out with like 4 pars in a row. And I said, all right, I'm back to my game. Here we go. And then the wheels fell off. And then I bogeyed. And then at one point, the 17th hole, I I four putted the par three. So I was pissed off of that. And then I proceeded to hit my ball OB on 18. Then I was pissed because dummy me decided to try like a new driver that day. I said, hold on. So my buddy John was playing. I said, John, throw me a ball. I said, guys, I'm re-teeing because they have common man rules where they play everything lateral. There's no OB because to keep things moving. And they say, because it depends on the event, but like stroke play, it's double par is the max you can take. And you can just pick up and go to the next hole. So you can still record a score even if you're like absolutely struggling. So you keep things moving. So OB re-teed, piped it. I was like, well, why couldn't I have done that the first time? So I was like, all right, it's a par 5. So I had to get it down there. So I pull out my hybrid, decided to push it into the water. I looked at my playing partner or like the other guys and I said, I'm done. I got in the cart and I just drove to the green and said, I'm out. So I was kind of in contention. I was like right there. I was about 2 shots, I think plus 8-1. I was 2 shots back or right around there at the time until I kind of blew up. And then I just threw in the towel and just said, screw it. I'm just going to hang out, crack a cold one and just enjoy the day. I mean,
well, you were on the Common Man tour, so playing Common Man golf and being a common man, we'll allow it this week, Dante. Next time, don't be so common. Don't 4-putt.
I mean, that was just odd.
I'll tell you what, and I think this is just a phenomenal topic because anyone who knows me, even junior golf, I didn't really have too much issue with it junior golf and like high school golf, but when I got to college, I lost the ability to putt. Your buddy Paulie, who is kind of how we met, knows my putting issues, my yips. I had the yips for like almost 2 years in college, which anyone who's ever played competitive golf knows that might be the worst thing, whether it's full swing yips or putting yips. It might be the worst, most aggravating thing in the world. And I've had my fair share of 4-putts. Out of those 4 putts, which one is usually the worst? Is it the second one? Or is it the first one where you have no chance of making the second one? Like where it becomes a lag putt that you've just had no shot of even getting close. And then all of a sudden you have another 10-plus footer to try and make.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Because that was always my issue. I would have a lag putt like 30 feet or more and not even get it within like sniffing range.
Yeah, when you take a lag foot and you don't get it in 3 feet or in, I'm pretty pissed because now you're sitting there, you're walking up, and now your nerves are going. You're like, crap. And then guess what? Every common golfer goes, okay, so say you're playing a par 3, right? You get this long lag putt. Then you don't lag it up there. Now you're sitting there like, well, that's 4. Like immediately you go to that's a bogey. Rather than trying to say, all right, well, I have this like 6-8 footer that's very makeable. I'm going to jar it and make par and recover off of the poor lag putt. You're like, nope, that's 4. And then you know what happens? You lip it or you like ring it. And then you're like, shit.
And then you're staring 6 in the face.
then you tap it in and you're like, unless you blow it by or come up short again and you still have a knee knocker.
It's one of those things where, and it happens so quick, and I feel like every common man golfer can relate to this. You're sitting there like licking your chops at a birdie putt, right? You're saying, man, this is going to be the hole. I recover. I made a bogey or 2 back there. We're going back on track. I'm going to be only like 2 over. It might be 1 over, through a couple holes. And then you wimp it maybe. And then you're 6-7 feet short, or you get really too confident, like you were saying, blow it by, and then you're staring an 8-footer in the face at par, and then all of a sudden you go from mentally thinking, hey, I'm going to recover, to holy hell, how did I just lose this round? And that's the crazy part where, and I want to get into it here too. The medalist at the USAM was talking about this because he had actually a couple 3 putts during the round and still shot 62 in the first round out at Bandon Dunes. And like, I feel like that's what separates also these guys we were talking about earlier. It separates the tour guys from us, is the ability to make those 3 putts. And then he rattled off like 7 birdies the rest of the round. Like, I feel like all of us, like common man golfers, and me especially, I put myself in that category right off the bat. You make 1 3-putt in the day, and you stare down every putt the rest of the entire round with zero confidence. Like
No,
it just rattles me
yeah.
to no
Well,
end.
coming from my game, and actually I was talking about this the other day with a buddy of mine. It's, with my handicap, it's roughly around the 6. So, I can have those low 80s to mid 80 rounds, or I can have those like mid 70s to, like high 70s rounds. Like that's kind of like my wheelhouse, right? But like when I have the good days, everything just clicks, right? But what I was saying to him is, like you're saying, like these elite players, they throw down a double, okay, they're just like, whatever, I really messed up that hole, but they can go out and fire, like they can recover and get 2 birdies right back to back, and then fire like another 3 birdies, and then they have 5 birdies, now they're 3 under.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
But
crazy to me. It's crazy to me how quick it can be recouped. And honestly, I've even noticed this with some guys I've been playing with at the club. There's an old guy that's like 70, 72. And when he plays from the proper tees, like, his kind of gold version of the tees, even
mhm.
he can like hit some good shots. And it made me realize too, like he'll make a double or 2, even 2 doubles. But then like, I really don't pay attention sometimes to a lot of what players are shooting around me. And then at the end of the day, he's sitting there at like 73, 74. And like in my head, like for some reason, I guess I just always remember like the bad shots people hit. And he doesn't do anything spectacular, fairways, greens, makes a couple, 15 footers. But then all of a sudden he's back to close to even par. And I'm like, am I missing something? Because in a minute, I can be at 73, 74, but then also in a minute, I can be at like 81, 82.
Yeah, it's how do you recover back from a blow up, like a double bogey? Because I noticed too is, based on my stats, I don't make that many birdies,
Mm-hmm.
but I can fire off a lot of pars, but I also fire off a lot of bogeys, which puts me in that like 77, 78 round. You throw maybe 1 or 2 doubles in there. Now I'm in the 80s category, like 82, 84. So it just kind of goes to show there, it's like, how do you take those blow up holes and those bogey holes, and how do you kind of knock off a stroke from each one? And that's, I think, with the key, like it's very doable for the average golfer, and like kind of like mid handicap,
Mm-hmm.
low handicap, to go out there and shoot, high 70 rounds. It's like you throw a couple birdies in there and you eliminate those doubles and you got it. But
It's something
it's
that's
easier said than done.
words right out of my mouth. Something so easier said than done. But it's cool to look at, and it's cool to see. It's obviously doable. I think people look at that sometimes and think, oh, they say the phrase "easier said than done," and then it translates to the course where they're like, well, I just can't do that. I can say it, but I can't do it. And I think it is actually, it's obtainable. If you like yourself, I feel like you really analyze your rounds and look at what you did, what you didn't do, and like, try and get better. And I do the same thing. I'm always writing down fairways. I'm writing down greens. I'm writing down putts per hole. I'm always writing down too, even if I miss a fairway, what side did I miss it on? Am I, kind of consistently missing left, or am I missing right? And same thing for the greens. Am I short? Am I long? Am I left, right? Whatever. And I feel like players that can do that over, a full spring or a full summer season can start to pinpoint, all right, here's what I really need to grind on for, maybe the winter months or the fall months to really attack improvement in my own game.
Yeah, I agree. And then I think for like the average golfer too, the mental side of it plays way bigger,
Mm-hmm.
because, all right, you had the skill, say you have like a handicap like myself, right? 77 and 78 is very doable. But if I go into that one hole and take a double, and then I follow up with the bogey, and then, I'm trying to climb back, but it's just shit hitting the fan, and it's just bogey after bogey, then you really get down on yourself, and now you're sitting there, all right, well, where's the beverage cart, or where's the 19th hole? And you just had enough. When the better player, or even myself, if you can recover the hole immediately after a blow up and you get a birdie or a par, that changes everything. And it actually happened. I agree. It happened to me. It actually happened to me this past weekend. I went to one of our reciprocal courses. We played a decent money game like we always do. And the first hole I fired off a birdie, and I'm like, after I was talking to my friend how like I got to figure something out with my game, and I really haven't been playing much individual golf. A lot of it's been team stuff. I mean, you and I were at the Classic, so like there's a lot of rounds where I was relying on a partner, where if I blew up, I just said picked up and whatnot.
Right.
This one was a little bit more individual, even though we were doing team stuff. But a lot of these guys are they're sticklers when it comes to posting, so it was pretty much individual. I fired off a birdie. I ended up shooting, I think, 1 over on the front, and I said, "Whoa, okay." And then the 10th hole, I sliced it, landed on some other green. It was a par 5, recovered back, then pulled this one crazy shot. Then I'm on top of this giant hill, and I'm sitting there. I was like, well, here goes the round, right? Somehow I hit one of the best chip shots ever, and then proceeded to make the putt par. I said, we're back into this. Then I doubled the next hole. It's like, oh, here we go. And
so you gave yourself an in-round, I'm back, baby.
Yes.
I like it. I love the confidence. That screams confidence.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was very confident after the 10th hole, and then I lost it all after the second, or after the 11th hole. And then I gained it back, and then I just kind of put my head down and just focused shot for shot. And, dude, I had 2 doubles on the round, 5 birdies, 75.
And we just talked about it. It's funny you say that too, because you had just mentioned, hey, I don't really make that many birdies around. Is that the most birdies you've had in a round in a long time? 5 birdies?
I think 5's the most I've ever had.
Ever? Like personal best that was for like forever in a round was 5.
I think I've done it before. I don't really recall.
But maybe you just matched it. That's a lot of birdies, dude. That's a good amount of birdies.
It was actually funny because the one was a chip in, but that was crazy because that hole. So my partner, he pushed his right onto the cart path and had to take a drop, and he did not have a great shot into the green. I took less club and kind of like it was a short par 4, so I kind of like had a layup shot, right? My opponent, he hits his shot, and he's probably, I don't know, a yard in front of me. We're like in the same spot. And then my other opponent, I kind of just didn't even remember where he went. Anyway, I thin the living piss out of mine left, and it lands pin high left rough by the green in the rough, right? The guy, my one opponent who was just in front of me, sticks his to probably about a foot. My partner takes his drop and sticks it to maybe 8 feet. And then my other opponent, I forget where he was, but he hit his long. He ended up making par. My playing partner ends up draining his for birdie. I chipped in for birdie, and our opponent, who was a foot away, missed the putt. We won the hole, and I said, "Let's go." But boy, yeah,
you guys were blessed by the gods. Took an angel to carry you off the green after you won that hole, huh?
Yeah, they were. It was funny. They said, they're like, how the hell did that just happen? The guy was like, this was our hole for the taking, and it just completely.
I tell you, man, that's the beauty, whether it's like, kind of team versus team or play or whatever it is. That's the beauty of playing those kind of matches, because you can feel like you are just, on top of the world. No way we lose this hole. And somehow, especially when you get that mentality, you walk off the green with your tail between your legs saying, what the hell just happened?
Dude, it was funny because I actually laughed because it was the battle of 4 generations. It was my partner, who was a Gen Xer. No, not Gen Xer. Gen Z. Me, the millennial. My one opponent, who was a Gen Xer, and his partner was a boomer. I said, "Holy shit!"
Okay,
I thought
boomer.
that was I thought that was kind of cool. I thought that was really cool, and that's like one of the beauties of golf is you had 4 generations playing a match against each other.
Well, you know, and that's the beauty of what we just talked about on our last podcast with Friars Golf Club and what they see. They see a guys our age getting involved. They got the mid-40s guys. They've got the 50, 60, and 70-year-olds too. And they sling those guys out there in random groupings all the time. And I just think that's awesome, and that's the beauty of the sport we play. Football can't say that. Basketball can't say that. Baseball can't say that. Golf can, though.
Yeah, and it was a battle.
And maybe curling. Curling might be able to say that too.
Yeah. Everybody loves curling.
Oh man, but that's awesome, man. And I'm stoked to I'm stoked to see more and more of your involvement in the Glover Park Tour. And if I can get out for a few as well, you know, just to see it, just to be a part of it, just to hang out with the guys, because that's at the end of the day what it's all about, is just hanging out with local people, with local, you know, or not even local people, but guys just on the tour who are typically playing with them. And it's a fun time. It's a great camaraderie event. Now, I got to ask, because those guys at Glover Park Tour always are giving out epic trophies. What was the trophy this week?
Oh, it was shoot. It was sick because when they posted it, I said, I want that. It was kind of like a vase, like a flower vase looking kind of thing. But it had like this white wrap around it, and it like had like GBT, and I think it said like Broad Run Open.
So it was nice, crispy, clean, huh?
It was clean, and it was a pretty dope trophy because it was kind of like the size of this cup, kind of like a big Yeti 32-ounce cup or whatever, with like a little like kind of like base to it. Go to their Glover Park Tour Philadelphia, all one word. I think that's what it is. Instagram account. It's on there. My face is not holding it because I did not win. I blew up.
Come on.
But no, my buddy John was actually in the mix, but he his dumb ass. He needed to make the putt on 18 to keep himself at +8 to be tied for the lead.
Oh no.
And go into the playoff, which they had, and he missed it. Yeah, he goes. No. He texted me the next day. He goes, "Dude, I lost sleep on that." I was like, I know. He was playing actually really well.
Dude, that's what I love about it. That right there, that comment is what I love about the Glover Park Tour. You got dudes who are just common man dudes who went to work on Monday morning, who lost sleep Saturday and Sunday night because of the Glover Park Tour. That's awesome. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, we unfortunately had to head out early, but shout out to Stevie. They came up. Like, it was crazy because we were the last group. And when we finished, all the carts are there waiting for everybody to come in because they were talking about the scores, because they use this app and you can see all the live scoring. So they knew there was a tie. So they had to figure something out. So they said they went to the first tee, drove up, but there's like, yeah, we're going to go through a playoff and see who wins. And then they're like, we got beers over here if you guys want to come like chill out. So that's like, we had to dip out, but other than that, I would have stayed and like followed all the carts, see who won, and then just go back and just,
I mean, guys, if you want to check out some video from the playoff, it looks like they have that posted on their Instagram as well, with the guy who won their trophy. So go check it out. Go check out Glover Park Tour Philadelphia on Instagram, and go see what it is. But one thing I do want to say too, what we were just talking about, I want to know. We were kind of talking about how many birdies you had in a round. I think my most birdies in a round were right around there as well, 5 or 6, somewhere in that realm. And I'm just talking birdies. I'm not talking birdies and eagles. I'm just talking birdies.
Just straight 1 under.
Straight 1 under. I want to hear from the listeners. I want to hear what you guys, how many birdies you've had in a round. Hit us up, Instagram or Twitter. We'll put out a poll on both. How many birdies have you had in a round? What's your most? At Enjoy the Walk Pod on Instagram, at Enjoy the Walk Pod on Twitter. Hit us up. Leave a comment in the post about today's podcast, whatever, and tell us, and we'll kind of take a little rating, and maybe we'll throw a piece of merch at whoever's number is the highest. But it's got to be honest, and I want to see the card from it, or something. If you shout out like 11, we're gonna need some backup. We're gonna need some credit.
Individual score.
I hope you
no scrambles.
No scrambles. Nope, no scrambles. Just individual scores. I want to hear it. But
you were saying something earlier though. You went out and got it. Like, you didn't play as much, but you were able to get some twilight golf in, and someone decided to switch some sticks around.
I did, and it was highly frustrating in the best way possible. I, for the longest time, I think since fall of last year, actually, so I switched clubs right before the Green Hill Club Championship last year that I ended up winning. I put the Mizuno MP32s in the bag, got them on Facebook Marketplace, re-gripped them. Shafts were brand new, heads were brand new. I just, put new grips on them. Played them well for, just over a year. And then come, I guess, the Glenn Riddle the Glenn Riddle Club Championship this year, I kind of just lost the feel for him, could not hit him, honestly. By the end of the day, I was just missing greens left and right. So I got frustrated enough to basically say, all right, I'm going to throw the old Titleist MBs back in the bag, the 714s. I went out and walked 6 holes out at Lighthouse Sound, kind of their front 6 before you cross the bridge to go over to the back 9 and the last 3 of the front 9. And I put on an absolute clinic, stripe show, in like a good 15 to 20 mile an hour steady wind. I put on a stripe show. It was highly frustrating, insanely stupid, and I don't know. It's just like I've always been the guy that when I put irons in the bag, I don't really like to switch them out often. I'll switch out a putter, like underwear.
Come to Running Deer, you'll see. You can talk the entire blue group. They're swapping putters left and right.
I mean, I'll swap a putter like nobody's business. But irons I like to keep in the bag. When I find a driver that I love, that doesn't usually leave the bag too often. But I just felt like I needed a switch. I needed something fresh. And yeah, I put the irons back in the bag, and they just felt phenomenal. They felt different because these irons I've really messed with. I've tinkered with. I've got different grips on them. I've got the Tour wraps on the Titleist MBs. I have kind of the corded micro compound grips on the Mizunos. So it's obviously a little bit thicker of a grip because they're the wraps, and they feel just a little different in the hands. And then I have a ton of lead tape on the MBs as well. I have a bunch of lead tape on the heels, so it keeps the face open a little less. So you know what I'm saying? I can hit a draw more consistently because the toe is going to come through quicker.
Yeah.
So that's what I have on all the irons down to, I think, 8 iron in the MBs. So I can hit a nice kind of crispy draw with all those longer irons instead of maybe just a straight ball or a fade. So yeah, like I said, I've tinkered with those MBs like nobody's business. They look like Frankenstein's workshop. They have that much lead tape on them, and they're back in the bag. So here we go. Here's to fall golf with some Titleist MBs that should have probably never left the bag in the first place.
Well, I mean, it's funny, man, because I mean, you talk to any avid golfer, they have at least 2 sets, and they have maybe a few different, I know some people have some multiple woods and hybrids or even driving hours to swap out based on conditions, but everybody has a few clubs in the bag where they flop out and put in timeout every so often because they're not performing like they should. You throw them out, you put it aside, tell them to go to the corner for a couple weeks or maybe a month or 2. And then you decide, you know what, I'm going to, are you ready to come back out? They say yes. And then they do exactly what you asked them to do. They're alive. Your golf clubs are alive.
I was going to say, you said that earlier, and I know damn well it's true. I've put putters in timeout in the past, broken them back out, and made everything in sight. I've put drivers in timeout, inadvertently. Actually, speaking of things that are actually back in the bag, I want to talk about the 3-wood that I broke in my backyard at home in Gettysburg over this kind of COVID stuff. I went home with the family for a little bit, And when I was there, I set up the net in the backyard, and I guess I was just hitting so many. I think I did something to it in my trunk before I broke it out. It got a little stress fracture and then just kind of compounded because of where it broke. It didn't break like down at the head. It kind of broke like 3 inches up. So
Yeah,
it was just
there was some either heat or something was pressured on
something was
it.
weird. So the 3-wood, the TaylorMade 3-wood, the M1 that I had in the bag forever with my like kind of custom fitted shaft broke on me, over 3 or at least 5 weeks now, actually. So I also at the same time, kind of within the same time frame, broke my driver shaft. And you and I talked about this on a couple podcasts ago. I went through like 5 or 6 shafts to try and get the right shaft replaced in my driver. Well, I found it, and none of the other shafts really worked because they were a heavier gram shaft. Well, what goes well in a 3-wood? A heavier gram shaft. So I cut down some of those driver shafts about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, set it to 3-wood length, strapped some new grips on them, and tested the 3-wood out last week too at Lighthouse Sound. And boy, do I have a winning combination back in that too. So I'm going to tell you what, it's been a little, mixed bag here lately. I had my dad's old 3-wood in the bag. I had the Mizunos that were in the bag, kind of, just stock, nothing really fancy to those. I put new Mizuno wedges in. I've been shuffling between the TaylorMade Spider putter and the Adele putter that I had at the Barstool Classic. It's been a shuffle here the last couple weeks, and I'm honestly really excited for it because I think I'm going to go get fit for irons here in the next 2 weeks and then really be dialed in. And then it's going to be scary. It's either going to be scary or I'm not going to break 80. There's no chance of like either in between happening. My handicap's going to stay at a plus, or it's going to go to like 7.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've been through the process. If one's serious about their game, if you're serious about lowering your scores, if you go get fit, because what they're going to do is they're going to fit clubs to your swing, because most of the clubs off the rack are just based off statistics of just your average player, like fit wise, not even like shaft and weight combination, more about like the height and the weight and like the lie angles, all that. Like, I mean, you can be short and have upright lie angles, or you can be long and have flat lie angles based on your swing. So I mean, you should always get fit, because especially when it comes to irons, because I think some of the 2 biggest factors are lie angle and shaft, like shaft selection, shaft weight, design.
There's no doubt in my mind that like the tallest guy in the world, if he has a shallow setup, is going to need like lowered clubs. That's not the right word. Not upright, but
it all depends on their swing. Theoretically, a taller person needs upright clubs, but that's not necessarily the case.
It's exactly what I was getting at, is like it just matters on your setup. It matters your path of swing. It just matters in so many different variables that nothing's the same. And that's why getting fit is so important. And I'm excited to go do it with the irons, because that's actually the one, as crazy as it is and as much competitive golf as I've played, that's the one kind of major spot in my golf bag that I've never gotten fit for, is irons. I've gotten fit for putters. I've gotten fit for drivers and 3-woods and stuff like that. And I've even taken a look at my wedges to make sure they've been dialed in. But the irons, like pitching wedge through 4 or 3 or whatever, depending on what I carry, never gotten fit for them. And I'm 25, about to be 26, and played college golf and competitive golf for all my life. There's something wrong with that picture.
That's huge too, because when you find the right lie angle, now when your club bottoms out correctly, you're hitting the middle of the face and the ball is going straight. And then when you find the shaft, you're limiting your dispersion.
Speaking of dispersion, is there a chance I go Colin Morikawa dispersion style on my irons from here on out after I get fit?
No.
I'm like disrespected, but also understandable of your answer.
Yes. I mean, you'll be shocked to see the circle go from like this to this, because your misses, that's pretty much what it's about. Is when you miss hit it, because they always say the golf is about misses. When you miss hit it, it's how far right and how far left is it going to go? How straight can we make that? That's what the fitting process is pretty much all about.
Dude,
You got the one that it's perfect swing, perfect contact, and it goes straight. And then you're gonna have your misses. It's like, all right, how can we take those, but make them as long as near as close as long as possible as our best one, and as straight as their best one. And that's pretty much the key to getting fit, because God forbid you have a club that maybe might be the shaft flexes a little, you hit it a little bit too left, and then you hit like one way left. Well, guess what? You're in the woods. You get something a little bit more fit for you. That's now maybe left rough or left, second cut.
Yep. It's
first cut.
it's crazy. And you speak about misses, and this is like we wanted to talk about Colin Morikawa. We obviously want to talk about the PGA Championship, but I think let's dive into Colin first and just the kind of player he is. Speaking of dispersion rates, speaking of those controlling your misses, quote unquote. Jonathan Wall, who's a writer for I believe it's golf.com, posted this tweet early Sunday, I think it was. I'm sorry. Yeah, golf.com. Shout out to Jonathan Wall for kind of uncovering this piece of awesome golf fact. Back in school, when Colin was still at UCLA, he went through a testing session on the TrackMan with TaylorMade and revealed dispersion patterns with a 6-iron. This is a 6-iron we're talking about that was as good as most elite players in the world are with their wedges. It doesn't say specifically what that dispersion pattern looked like, but I can only imagine elite players with their wedges are usually within like a 5 to 8 foot ring. And Colin was throwing 6-irons at that in the same dispersion rate.
Yeah,
How fitted do I have to get to find that dispersion rate?
I mean, they probably didn't change much. Maybe a shaft weight. They probably took the same exact club and just, I don't know, messed with either the swing weight or the weight of the shaft, or did something like minute, and then just like narrowed it. Because if you're saying his dispersion was as tight as the elite pros wedge game, which is also a way shorter club and more controlled club in your hands, what are you going to change?
Well, and I mean, to put his talent on perspective and to put his talent on a pedestal, I think even you look at how well he's played since he turned pro only a year ago. That major marks his 3rd win already on tour. He's got one missed cut in a year on tour. First year out on tour, 1 missed cut. He's got as many missed cuts as he does majors now. That's incredible. That's absolutely mind-blowing that a 23-year-old can come out on tour, have this results, have this kind of success early, and throw a major in there. And, I mean, you look back on it, at 23 years of age, the only other person to do it that young and that consistently is Tiger Woods. And I'm very comfortable saying that because there's just no one else in that conversation.
No.
So I loved Paul Casey's comment about it as he was coming off the 18th green, kind of just knowing that, he played great golf, but Colin just played better golf. And Paul Casey said, instant maturity was probably the one thing that stood out to me during the round playing with Colin. And he said, I've heard him talk. He's very mature. But the one thing he noticed, too, he said, there's just an undeniable amount of talent. He said, the golf shots I saw him hit today, Sunday, down a major championship, were just bar none some of the most talented golf shots I've seen played in major championship golf. And that's from Paul Casey, who has contended all over the world in multiple majors for at least the last decade. Paul Casey's got to be going on his late 30s. I don't know how old he is specifically, but he's got to be in his late 30s by now, and he's been around major championship golf for a long time. So for him to say those words about Colin and how he played and how he carries himself, that should send fear into a lot of guys out there that Colin's not going to give up anything anytime soon.
No, and I think he even said one time in an interview, at one point, I don't know if it was college or something, he realized that golf was his future and he was going to do something, like everything possible to get there. And that guy has some determination. So be on the lookout for him. He's going to do big things down in the future for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, with the success he's had, and I mean, being a UCLA guy, everyone was talking about. So obviously, being a UCLA guy, he has been in the California area for a while. People going into the PGA Championship were talking about, man, we got a feeling a local's going to win. A local's going to win. A California guy's going to win. And I don't know if it just got missed in the, hoopla of other California guys. Obviously, Phil being one of those guys, Tiger being one of those guys. But I just felt like going into the event, Colin's name wasn't mentioned much going into this, this event, the PGA Championship at Harding Park, as being a favorite, even as a California kid. So it blew my mind that, he just, before he kind of took the reins of this championship late on Sunday, that he wasn't in that conversation, even with the success he's had.
Yeah, that's odd. I think that these broadcasters are the ones that bring up these names in conversation. They bring up the old, like the veterans, because of their experiences out on tour for so many years. But I think they're just missing it, that the field and the talent of all these players, from the rookies to even the veterans of Phil and Tiger, is just so close that anybody can win. And I think they can't grasp that fact, because before, in the olden days, or the 2000s, the 90s, 80s, 70s, there was always a select few. There was like a handful of players, or 2 or 3 guys, or that would just, they're gonna win, and everybody knew it. Now you don't even know.
You don't, and that showed itself immediately on Saturday afternoon, when there was, I believe, 8 guys within one stroke of the lead coming down. Going into Sunday's round, it was a crapshoot. Like, I think the lead, they said in 3 hours, the lead changed like 7 times on Saturday afternoon. Like, in major championship golf, you just don't see that as often. You don't see that many guys. Like, usually it's like 3 or 4 by Saturday afternoon that might have distanced themselves from the pack a little bit. But to have that many guys within a shot or 2 of the lead, I mean, and it wasn't just like, oh, this guy came out of nowhere. I mean, Hao Tong Lee put on a beautiful display of golf on Friday, and people were like, well, he was kind of surprised he's there. He's won a World Golf Championship. He's no slouch when you talk about guys contending. And then you had, the typicals. You had your Dustin Johnson. You had your Brooks Koepka. Bryson DeChambeau put his name on the list. And a guy who I think –
I mean, even like with Bryson, I mean, what has his numbers been in the past years of majors? I mean, I know he's like the talk of the town right now because of the way he drives the ball and the muscle mass that he put on. But besides the point, if you just want to look at like majors, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he was really much in the mix over the past years. If you want to just focus on majors, now this is kind of like, you can say, quote unquote, new guy coming up in the mix. So it just goes to show again that it's just, I mean, Matt Wolff tied for 4th.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's crazy, because, and then even Cameron Champ came out of nowhere and got himself in the mix too. And then, I'm just looking, like, I want to give people a perspective of what Saturday looked like in kind of like a little time lapse of stuff. So we're looking at, like, I want to say maybe, so we're sitting at 6:30 p.m. local time in San Francisco. 6:30 p.m. Hao Tong Lee made a putt on his second hole that put him 2 clear of everyone. And then, so an hour later at 7:30, Lee gave up the lead. Just an hour later, Lee gave up the lead with back-to-back bogeys, while DeChambeau at the same time rolled in 2 back-to-back putts to be within 1 of the lead. And then, so not only an hour later, complete mayhem goes. Lee's out of the lead. Koepka's out of the lead. Scotty Scheffler comes out of nowhere with a birdie putt on 17, 3 in a row, 15, 16, 17, put himself in the lead. So within like 2 hours, there's 5 guys that are just jostling up and down this leaderboard. And it was just, man, I'm telling you what, for no fans, for it obviously being a much quieter telecast because of the no fans, this was one of the most action-packed, if not best golf tournaments, major championship-wise, I think in the last like 5 years. With as many guys that had a shot and as many guys that were just, knocking down putts to stay within one or take the lead or whatever it was, that it was fun to watch from a lot of people's perspectives. And that, Twitter was going nuts, Instagram was going nuts as far as just the people that were interacting with this golf broadcast. And I think, and I think here's my synopsis of why, and maybe you can weigh in on it too. Everything's being canceled sports-wise as we see it all over the map. College sports, no chance anyone plays in the fall. The NFL's maybe going to play. No word on that yet. The NBA is back, but they're in the bubble. So, okay.
They're doing the NBA, the NFL, and I think that Major League Baseball are shortened seasons. And I know NBA and the NHL are doing – they're kind of doing like a March Madness-esque
I'm actually all in on the NHL format right now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. It's pretty badass.
That's kind of cool. But I mean, sorry to cut you off here, but one thing I notice about sports is golf is the only sport on a viewer standpoint, in my opinion, that seems normal watching, even though fans aren't there.
Compared
to the rest of the sports.
There's no format change. There wasn't like, all right, because of COVID, we're gonna make the major championship 36 holes and a chip off to decide the winner. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm equating some of these weird changes that other sports are going through. And you're spot on. Golf's the same. When you tune in to the PGA Championship, you're seeing 4 days of tournament golf, 18 holes a day, with the same names that you would see up there in a normal event, as if we were having the event, no pandemic. That's the beauty of it. And that's why I think we saw so much viewership.
The only difference that you see on TV is just there's no fans, but the way broadcasting is doing is you wouldn't even recognize it if you weren't really looking for no fans. And the other thing is you just don't hear guys yelling out stuff and hearing the roars. That's
Absolutely.
Everything else is literally as normal.
I do want to talk about, and speaking of as normal, the prize money hasn't changed either. The prize money is well on its way to being above normal, if anything. Colin Morikawa took home measly $1.98 million for his win. It just absolutely incredible. But, something I wanted to scroll down to just to put perspective into how these, guys are getting paid, which surely ain't, too shabby. Brooks Koepka, defending champ, finished T29, still took home $70,000 for a T29. When's the last time you finished 30th in anything and took home far more than what I'm probably going to make this year?
Here's like people wish they were like their 9 to 5s. They were making that amount of money in a 52-week period, and then you got a guy who does it in 2 days or 4 days.
I'll tell you what, though. Speaking of Brooks Koepka, and this is why I picked him out, what a performance in the attempt to go for a three-peat in the PGA. He finished sole second at the U.S. Open at Pebble when he tried to go for the three-peat. And now, granted, he shot 75 on Sunday, fell down the leaderboard a little bit as a lot of guys were making some runs. But Saturday afternoon, Brooks Koepka was in the mix to take down the lead. So, I mean, everyone wants to talk about, well, Brooks isn't playing the same, Brooks isn't that, Brooks isn't this, because they're all talking about DeChambeau. And Brooks loves taking shots at DeChambeau. And I just think, with all this hype surrounded kind of, the media hype dudes, Brooks put on a show again this weekend. And to finish top 30 at a PGA championship when you have, the top 100 in the world, that's nothing to hang your hat on. I know Brooks wanted to go out there and win this thing and shove it down a lot of people's throats that, hey, I'm still here. But his performance, I think, was still very, very, sustainable in the long run. I think he's going to contend way down the road.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I mean, I agree with that. My bad.
He's not gonna. And I hate to say it because I used to be a huge Spieth fan, but it's getting harder and harder every week to be a
Oh
Spieth fan.
man, poor kid.
He's not gonna Spieth himself anytime soon. And I'm gonna start using that as for people who fell off the map after being at the highest, because it's come to the point where Spiething is a thing.
I'm seeing stuff people say that he should just get a new swing coach and fire Greller. That's I mean, I don't know.
At this point, dude, it's 6 inches.
Yeah.
He's a nutcase, dude. He's always been a nutcase. But he's extra nutcase right now.
I don't think he's extra a nutcase. It's you're seeing it because they don't have fans blocking out the noise of they're overpowering what they're saying.
All right. I see you there.
I think the broadcasting is even better because now you kind of get to see them come back to a little bit more. They're great players, but you can see them come back a little bit to a reality. Because did you see that clip with JT?
Yeah, no fucking break or something like that on like a 15-footer.
Yeah, right. 15-footer just comes up like right. It was going in and then it like literally turned right. He's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And the best part was the announcers just have given up on trying to control it, and they're just
good.
Like, well,
good,
but it's
good
because it's another way you and I and every common golfer can relate to the elites.
Someone else posted this. I don't know who it was. Might have been Bob Menery. Might have been some other kind of high profile. Might have been someone from Barstool Sports. I'm not sure who it was exactly. So whoever it was, sorry I can't remember your name. But if you hear it, we're thinking of you. They posted this, and it made such a phenomenal point because it was right after that clip happened. And I think it had another clip to do with someone, throwing some F-bombs on live television. It says, why don't we turn the PGA live that we all pay for anyway already, expecting to get phenomenal coverage and don't, that's $7.99 a month or whatever, and turn that into a quote-unquote pay-per-view broadcast of golf, and you're inside the ropes, you're with the caddies, and there's no beeping out. There's just straight talk. Player, caddy conversations, player conversations, and all you got to do is throw a mic on the bags or throw a mic on the caddy bib. You don't have to do anything crazy, and you get pay-per-view golf, and you get the awesome clips. You get the insider clips, all for what we're already paying for. And speaking of what we're paying for, the PGA Tour app didn't televise the PGA Championship this weekend on their app at all.
I heard.
How does that make sense?
Makes no sense. Because I download those apps. I download all the like the Masters app, all the major apps, and you can always watch like the featured groups for free. Especially the Masters. No one watches the Masters on TV like the first 2 days. They go to the app.
I'm on the website where it's got 7 different screens.
Yeah. So I mean, I swear that people behind this just don't think. I mean, you already have the money into it. It's not like you have to invest more. You already have a system that fixes it, like is what people want to see. It's just throw that on like
it blows my mind, dude, that like golf can't figure it out. Golf broadcasting cannot figure it out. And it's just the only people that do it right is the Masters. And you want to know why? Because they run their own show. They tell the rest of the, Fox, NBC, CBS, Golf Channel, they tell them to kick rocks. It's our rules or don't come.
Yeah.
And it works pretty damn well. Pretty damn well. Maybe they should start taking notes. Because I'm so sick of golf not being available. Golf gets run over by tennis broadcasts on a lot of channels by hours. Like golf's supposed to pick up at 3. We don't get golf till 5:30. And then when we do get golf, it's a couple tee shots, maybe one approach shot, and like 30 putts.
All putts.
And then show me the Buick SUV 45 times on a commercial.
The whales.
Yeah.
The whale.
Or Pacific Life, the whale commercial about is that finance? Is it real estate? I don't even know what the fuck Pacific Life is. I hope they have whales.
You know what confuses me is especially like Sunday rounds, they start them so late, but half the times they're fighting the chase the sun.
Yeah.
What? You have a field. You narrow it down to like 30 or 60 guys that you can easily go.
If anyone's watching on our
Oh
YouTube
my
channel, thank you
God.
for watching. Enjoy the Walk Golf podcast on YouTube. I just gave the hardest eye roll of possibly all time because it's so frustrating. Everyone knows what we're talking about. At this point in the time and age we live in, if you don't see the issue with golf broadcasts, maybe we just can't be friends.
I don't get it.
But that's for, that's our rant on golf broadcasts. Something I do want to actually hit on where they're actually getting it right is this week's USAM. The broadcast is through the roof on coverage of it, from stroke play to match play. There's a ton of amateurs getting coverage this week, and I'm all about it because of where it's at too. This is the first time Band and Dudes has hosted any kind of huge USGA event. Actually, I take that back. They hosted the USAM 4-ball 2 years ago. And obviously it was such a great success in what the USGA had it out there that they're having USAM this year. But Bandon Dunes, what a place. It was made for television. With the way the golf course sets up so linksy on the cliffs, it is such a for television venue. And I want to shout out to just the USAM medalists for the first 2 rounds of stroke play. Like I was saying earlier, we were talking about our putting woes. He shot 62 with 3 bogeys. So he shattered the course record with 3 bogeys. Could have been 59 watch. Wilson Furr from Alabama. JT was all over it and active on Twitter all day because of, the Roll Tide family out there playing well. But those Alabama golfers, they've got some ice in their veins, and he ended up bringing it home with, I think, another 65 today. So pish posh, getting close to another course record, almost shooting 2 course records in a row. I hope he can keep up the good play, because if he makes that many birdies, match play is going to be a breeze for that kid.
Yeah, that's insane, and especially when you're at like one of golf meccas resort.
I mean, and not only golf meccas, but the way the wind blows out at that place consistently, a 62, that's incredible.
Kid
that is playing some golf. Yep. I'm impressed. He birdied the first 2, made a measly par, a 3-putt par, mind you. He made 2 pars on par 5s that were all 3 putts.
Wow.
And then birdied the 4th, bogeyed the 5th, parred the 6th, and then went on a birdie string. Birdie, birdie, birdie to finish out the front, and then starts out the back. Birdie, 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 birdie. So he birdies 10 through 15, then goes bogey, bogey, and finishes a birdie with an 18. He made 1 par on the back 9. The rest were birdies and bogeys. Now, that's my kind of roller coaster. I can relate to that kind of roller coaster, but it's usually more bogeys than birdies.
Yeah, my one friend, he's got the shout out to John. He the one time he shot a 42 on our front with 4 birds because he went like birdie, triple, birdie, double, birdie, quadruple. It was insane. I said, "How is that even possible?"
I'm a huge, I shouldn't even say a huge believer, because I'm a huge action maker on this one, of the PBFU, post birdie fuck up.
Or we like to call it the after birdie syndrome, ABS.
Yeah, ABS, PBFU, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I see it all too often in my rounds of golf, and it seems to poke its head into just about every other birdie I make. Mm-hmm. And it's just the way it is. It's the way it goes. So shout out to Wilson Furr for that hell of a round, that hell of a showing. I'm excited to watch this match play. Now it's all on the Bandon Dunes course. They split the 2 rounds of stroke play between the Bandon Dunes course and I think one of the other courses out there, Bandon Trails. So cool to see it just go all to one course. The coverage is going to be nuts. They're basically making sure, I think, every match play match gets TV time, which is so cool for these amateurs. A lot of these kids are in college. You got your classics out there like Stu Hagstead, Andy Ogletree, who won it last year, is out there. Obviously, again, this year didn't turn pro. So some of the familiar names, but a lot of names that, are popping up and getting their first shot at some TV coverage. So it's cool to see this kind of talent getting some TV coverage. And it's always fun to see which one of these kids, pulls through and you see his name out on Saturdays and Sundays out there on the PGA Tour coming up.
Oh, no doubt. That's one thing. If you want to watch some good golf and some insane golf, go watch the Corn Ferry events and watch like the amateur events. You'll see some phenomenal golf.
And you want to talk about just grit. They ended up having a 18 for 3 man playoff to get into the match play out of Bandon Dunes. And these kids were absolutely firing at the stick. I think out of the 18, it says 14 made birdie on the first playoff hole. So all right, you make par, you're out. Nice par, go home.
See ya.
Bye. Incredible. And then it kind of whittled off from that. And then, 3 guys ended up getting in, I think 3 holes later. But imagine making par and going home. Pack your bags. Nice par.
It's a good hole.
Yeah. That just speaks to the talent of these kids. And I encourage anyone, over the next 3 or 4 days, I think they whittle down to the semifinals by, what is today? Today is Wednesday, so this will release Thursday. They get to the finals by, I believe, Sunday, because it's a 36-hole final. So these guys will be playing 36 a day. Or a little less depending on how many holes their match goes. If you polish a guy off in 14, then you know what, go kick your feet up for an hour or two maybe. But go watch this on Golf Channel. There's going to be some phenomenal coverage at one of the best destination courses in the world. Would you say, Dante? We've had this conversation with Matt Janella. Janella named his kid after the place, so I mean, it's got to be some kind of at least decent.
Yeah, I mean, Steve from SDOT, he went out there to play a bunch of caddies played against each other, and he said it was a trip of a lifetime. So I mean, we got to get out there.
Yeah, put it on the short list.
Yep.
So walking into next week, and the PGA is moving on to the Whyndham Championship. We were talking about this from months and months and months ago before all this COVID stuff started. This was supposed to be Enjoy the Walk's PGA Tour debut as credentialed media. We were all geared up, getting ready to submit our paperwork, be approved, and get down there and get inside the ropes and muck it up with some of the guys down there. A huge portion of our listenership is from down in that area in the Carolinas. So we were pumped to make that trip, not only for the PGA Tour, but to see a lot of our listeners, play a couple rounds with them down there, and have like a little mini event within our crew, within our Enjoy the Walk listenership. So a little bummed to see this tournament come through and be this time already. It's crazy. It's already middle of August. But I want to talk about that a little bit, because I just think, I want to let people know what our intentions are of this podcast, of this brand moving forward, is to be inside the ropes with these guys, whether it's Corn Ferry events, whether it's PGA Tour events. If we are to get into some of these, I wouldn't call it smaller events, because obviously there's some big names at the Whyndham. But it's not your major championship. It's not your, PGA. It's not your US Open. But hey, if we get inside the ropes, that's a great start for us. And that's all the intentions. And we definitely want to see ourselves inside the ropes at some Corn Ferry events in the future as well. So it's going to be cool to see this event this week being played, and know that, hey man, we could have been there, and we had all intentions of being there.
I know. And when you brought that up, it feels like a year ago, but it's only been a couple of months.
Time flies when you're quarantined.
Well, yeah, yes and no. There's some times when we were losing our minds, but
sometimes
it's just this is it. It's nuts, man. It's crazy, because I can go back and just talk about how we had the week all set up. We were basically chatting with all our Charlotte friends saying, hey, this is like the plan, or this is what we're going to do. let's, meet up, this and that. It was, we were pumped. And then health broke loose, and here we
It's just
are.
something.
But
It's just something where it's like, what could have been, and this
yeah,
is always, classic hindsight's 2020, and it's just like classic round of golf. Like, oh man, if I just would have made this one putt here or there, but I mean, just looking at it from an aspect of, this is the way I'm looking at it anyway. What would the field have been like if it was just a normal schedule? Because you're seeing now with these guys having a very limited time to make up their FedEx Cup points, you're seeing guys like Koepka, Tommy Fleetwood, Abraham Answer, Sungjae Im, Shane Lowry, these top guys. There's every player inside the top 28, excluding Tiger Woods, excluding Phil Mickelson, are in this field.
oh yeah, all these are going to be FedEx Cup playoff-esque and major-esque fields.
It's seriously exciting. Like it's actually no offense to the PGA Tour normally, but honestly, COVID and the shortened schedule going in the FedEx was the best thing that happened to the PGA Tour schedule, because it just slammed it so condensedly that these guys have to show up if they want to make a living.
And it may open some eyes for some players down the road in the future when things kind of get back to a so-called normal schedule, to where they decide, I like this course, or I like this so-called tournament, I'm going to start playing it. So you may see the more common faces at these, I'm going to call them like lower end, but you get what I'm lower end kind of tournaments that are not necessarily where the top 50 normally go, based on how the schedule works. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out down this week, and even down in the future.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of director of the tournament even made a comment. He said, we are benefiting from the limited opportunities to play out here this year. We're lucky to have our event going on, and we're lucky to have the PGA Tour going on, and we're very lucky to see one of our fullest, most talented fields in tournament history. So, I mean, when the director of the event is even recognizing kind of the not – I would say the luckiness of having an event that ended up being able to be played, because there was quite a few tour events that just simply got canceled. Plain and simple, got left in the dust. So to be able to still be on that schedule, and to not only be on that schedule, but to be a major important event in that schedule because of how it got shuffled and condensed. The Whyndham, even though they're not going to be able to pack the stands and pack the fairways, they benefited from this. They definitely are going to get great viewership on Sedgefield Golf Club. They're going to get great viewership because of the talent that's out there, and they're going to get a lot of world views from golf, not only golfers, but just kind of fans in general. So it's going to be really neat to see from our couches or from our bar stools or wherever we're at to check out this event this week, and to see how these guys play the course. Some of these guys for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm excited. Hopefully I can get some time to watch it, but busy schedule. But I'll make sure.
Yeah, we've unfortunately been, just I think phone warriors here the last couple tournaments. We just, both of us have been so busy, or just playing so much golf in general because it's been so nice out that
it's just been playing so much golf, getting the most out of it.
Yeah, the most golf you and I watch is watching a leaderboard on our phones, or maybe seeing some highlights. And Twitter's the best source of news in the world today, so we've maybe seen some Twitter highlights and stuff like that too, or Instagram highlights and stuff like that, and send them in the group chat. But it's as crazy as it is, this doesn't come as a shock, because I think this guy has been playing some of the most consistent, well-rounded golf on the PGA Tour before the break and coming back. Webb Simpson's the favorite, the local kid out of Wake Forest, being a Carolina guy. I think it makes sense that he's the favorite. But someone I want to talk about who made absolutely zero noise this past week and seems to be the third favorite at this event, old Patty Reed. Patrick Reed is on the odds to be the third favorite this week. And I just want your opinion on who you think, at this point in time, who's bound and maybe due for a wind out on tour. I'm running through these names here. You got Webb Simpson, Brooks Koepka, Patrick Reed, Fleetwood, Paul Casey, after just coming up in a runner-up finish at the PGA, has got to be maybe on a short list of guys. Justin Rose is coming. You got JT Poston, Kevin Kisner, Joaquin Niemann. I just the field's deep this week, man. It's going to be a really, really good showing of golf again this week.
I'm rooting for Harold Varner III.
I like it. So that's your pick. Are we back on Dante and Dalton's picks of the week?
Sure.
The double D guarantee?
I wouldn't say that because my running.
I mean, yeah, you had a solid run of miscuts from guys that you picked in the past, but we can start fresh.
Sorry, Harold.
Oh, don't do that to the man. But no, I'm gonna take a guy that's had some serious success there in the past. I'm gonna go with JT Poston. I think Poston's gonna post a good score. No pun intended. Maybe a little bit, but I like the kid at 45-1 too. That's pretty good odds to make a bet on.
Yeah, I'm picking Harold. That's my pick, but I can see guys something of like a Scott Stallings or a Wesley Bryan, kind of someone from that area that like knows like that Carolina golf.
If you're gonna keep with the trend, the local guy won in San Francisco, and I wouldn't say local, but he went to school in California, so that's all it constitutes to say local. Go with a local guy in the Carolinas. 2 for 2. I mean, why not? At this point, you might as well stay with the trend while you have it and hope you get lucky.
Yeah. That's I'm going with the guy like kind of, I wouldn't say they're lower. I mean, they're all sick at golf, but I would say like these middle tier kind of guys.
Yeah, they're not your upper echelon top 25, but they're still high class golfers.
One of them's going to pull it off this week.
Well, and I mean, fun fact, JT Poston's from South Carolina too. So we kind of just low-key both went with some local guys without even knowing it, which is exciting. So I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to watch it, and I'll definitely put a star on the Poston and Varner picks to see where they fall Friday and Saturday, and hope to God we're watching both of them on the weekend.
Yeah, right.
So, guys, that's it for us this week. One thing I do want to touch on here, and I think we want to get more of these in. Shout out to Jeff Mosini, who canned another ace in his long career of golf here this past week. For those of you who don't know who I'm talking about, Jeff Mosini, the inventor and creator and designer of Slope Grade, which we've had as a sponsor on this podcast before. Jeff's a great friend of ours. We interviewed him down at our first trip down to the PGA show. He canned his first ace on Duran Golf Club, hole 17, 232 yards, flushed a 4-iron baby draw, as he said, and one hopped her in. So start sending us your aces. Start sending us maybe even your eagles. We'll give you guys a shout out. We appreciate good golf shots as much as the next guy, and we want to start recognizing our listeners for their great golf achievements. So shout out to you, Jeff. Shout out to that hole in one. I hope you had a drink for us. And yeah, guys, send us those videos, send us those pictures of whatever amazing golf shot you guys have, and we'll repost. We'll repost and we'll talk about it on the pod. So if you guys want to know more about us, go to www.enjoythewalkpod.com. Like I said before on previous podcasts, we're going to start stepping up our merchandise game here with a little bit higher quality materials, higher quality products, and a little more limited release. So be on the lookout for that as we start to announce those products as well. And go, like I said, you can check us out at Enjoy the Walk Pod on Instagram and Twitter to interact with us. Give us your opinions on polls, how many birdies you guys made in a round, and your best golf shots. So that's it from us, guys. As always, enjoy the walk, carry your clubs, and get out there and enjoy this crazy game we call golf.
That's the stuff. One shot at a time.